Hey guys, it's Friday. Sorry, it's gonna be a second. It's Friday the 12th, January 12th, 2024. Today's gonna be 11 minutes, 2 pumps. No hurry. The goal is sticking with the stronger grind of minimum of 100 push-ups. I'm doing mine exclusively, hopefully, through burpees. So it's going to be 50 burpees, or however many I get in 11 minutes. I'm not pushing to see how many I can get in 11 minutes. I'm just moving for 11 minutes. Then I'm going to do my pull-ups for the day. Probably that's it. Still recovering from 20 minutes of Navy SEALs 2 days ago. I'm going to slowly build my pumps back up. So I did 1 pump yesterday, 2 pumps today. I'll do some version of 3 pumps or something tomorrow, and then maybe start back over at 1. We'll see. Nothing's really planned in these sessions other than seeing how I feel. Going from there. I'm working through a few issues. My back, shoulders have been a bit tender lately, but I'm working through it. That's what counts, I think. Nasal breathing. Alright guys. I believe it was 81. I was averaging 7 reps on a minute. But I was able to bank some time, which eventually led up to a minute. And I took that minute and sprinted, more or less. Much of a sprint as I have in me these days. Got 11 reps. So that makes 162 pumps for the day. Sit some pull-ups. May as well bring the camera over. If pull-ups are a daily thing, which they have been for maybe a month now, then I figure I should at least somewhat feature them on camera. All right. Catch my breath. Odd for me. Odd for me to consider that for the most part, I don't have a trouble with the nasal breathing during the set. The difficult thing is that 1 or 2 recovery breath that you take afterwards, because you're in an oxygen depth and you want to suck in some air and you want to suck it in as much and as quickly as possible, which means the mouth. But I try to avoid that until I've taken at least a few nasal breathing recovery breaths. Easy 5. 2 rounds. So, guys, I'm taking a whole minute. Well, I'm going to take another minute, whatever I had before. And this will be the last set. I did couplets yesterday. Pulls and chins. Remember, the secret to a couplet is the immediacy of going into the next thing. So if you're doing a couplet of pull-ups, chins, you don't do your pull-ups and rest and then come back and do chins. That would be more of a superset, even though you're using the same muscle. Supersets are generally considered opposing muscles. So you superset biceps and triceps, chests and lats, or something along those lines. It doesn't have to be opposing muscles. You could superset biceps and legs if you wanted to. But a couplet is one thing immediately followed by the other, in the traditional sense. One of my favorite couplets used to be front squats, followed immediately by back squats. And again, you don't have to do a whole lot of reps. 3 and 2, perfect, because you can use a fairly substantial weight. I'm not saying you're going super heavy. You're not going max numbers, and you don't want to be going max numbers. But you want each to be somewhat taxing on their own, and then put together are challenging, hard. Not challenging to the point where you wonder if you can do it, but challenging to the point where you wonder, why am I doing it? All right, 2 sets of 5. That's it for the day, for this. I'm trying to maximize recovery time, guys. After 2 years of not really concerning myself with recovery, it's become a priority. And not because of burpees. Mainly because my overabundance of enthusiasm leading me to do more and other stuff, knowing better. And honestly, I did know better, but again, I get carried away with my enthusiasms, and always have. With this being the case, it was just a slight general fatigue in my low back from holding some yoga postures. I don't want to say I shouldn't have been holding them, they were fine. It's the fact that I was doing it 3 times a day and holding it for increasing lengths of time. And then I did something stupid fooling around, which I've mentioned before. I shouldn't mention it again. I shouldn't highlight my stupidity. It should be self-evident for everyone. But I was trying to fit into a narrow space to get in my car, instead of climbing in the back or something. It was very, very small. And I was joking that I would use my extreme yogic powers to turn myself into a Gumby-like action figure and slip through this very small space, which I was doing, but something spasmed in my low back. And it's an old injury that happened in 1990 from powerlifting. And it hasn't bothered me for quite some time, several years. But whatever set it off, because of that, trying to do something I shouldn't have been doing, especially in a state where my back was already fatigued, it ended up causing some issues. Normally I work through the issues in a matter of days and I'm back. It's been about a month or so, maybe longer, and I've been unable to fully shake it. Some days feeling better than others. Some days I think I'm just about ready to turn that corner, but not quite. We'll see. I keep working with it, and I keep saying I'm going to make an appointment with the chiropractor to pay out of pocket, but some financial concerns have popped up, so I keep putting it off. But I can't for much longer. Anyway, having said all that, let's do back to the basics. 3 yogic breaths. Breathing in, belly, chest, clavicle, exhaling, clavicle, chest, belly. 3 times. That's it. 3 full yogic breaths. Basically, it returns us to 0 point. Reestablishes that baseline of breath, posture, mindfulness, aids with recovery, helps reduce our oxygen debt, and we're good to go. Hands are going to be in the chin mudra, open, fingers in the OK sign. This is a sign, a mudra of receptivity. We're receiving the breath, we're receiving oxygen, we're receiving air. All of them are gifts. So here we go. Through the nose. and relax. Breathe naturally and easily through the nose. Mindful of the breath, but no undue concentration. Nothing's forced. No deep or heavy focus. Natural, easy breathing. Belly fills, belly falls. Bring your hands together, and again, just say thank you for all the gifts that we have. It's a place to start. If life is a mess, stressful, difficult, seems like you're losing things at every corner, start with the basics. You can breathe, you can move. That means there's possibilities. We start from there. We move forward from there. As long as you're alive, there's possibilities, and guess what? In some form, in some way, you're always alive. It's always life itself. Ever changing, but always life. So, the basics. Easy breathing, diaphragm, nasal, belly fills up just slightly. We're not forcing it. Belly falls down. The other basic is that full yogic breath, the 3-part breath, belly, chest, clavicles. Start with that. No need to go even further. That's the foundation is always enough. Of course, we add stuff in for a variety of reasons, and sometimes the reason is variety. But when you have that basic down, when you've been working with this breathing pattern, it becomes natural. You take those easy breaths all the time through the day. It's the natural pattern of the breath. And when you need to calm down, or when you need to pick yourself up, you do that full yogic breath. Evens things out. So that, guys, thanks for joining. We'll talk some more this afternoon. Do a live session, and I'll see you then. Take care.